Olá, está no ar o STJ Entrevista, um programa do Superior Tribunal de Justiça. Aqui recebemos especialistas e autoridades para debater assuntos relevantes nos campos jurídico e acadêmico, bem como no cotidiano da população. Em junho de 2026, o Superior Tribunal de Justiça sediou o Congresso Internacional Estado de Direito e Ética Judicial. O evento reuniu presidentes de cortes supremas, ministros, magistrados, especialistas e representantes de organismos internacionais para discutir temas que estão no centro dos desafios das democracias contemporâneas, como a inteligência artificial, igualdade de gênero, combate à corrupção, transparência e independência judicial e a defesa do Estado de Direito. Entre os participantes está Mattias Guyomar, presidente do Tribunal Europeu dos Direitos Humanos, uma das mais importantes instituições internacionais dedicadas à defesa dos direitos humanos e do Estado de Direito. Juiz eleito em representação da França na Corte Europeia de Direitos Humanos, Guyomar assumiu a presidência do tribunal em 2025. Nesta edição da STJ Entrevista, vamos falar sobre democracia, direitos humanos e os desafios enfrentados pelos tribunais em um mundo cada vez mais complexo e conectado. Vem comigo conferir como foi essa conversa. So, sir, first of all, we would like to thank you for joining us on STJ Interview. And we would like to start asking you, how are judges and democracy connected?
Let me, first of all, thank you for this interview and also express my full gratitude to Chief Justice Armand Benjamin for the invitation to attend a so important event at the international level. It's so important in the current times to have such meetings between judges, members of the judiciary and academics, sharing our experience, our concerns and building all together the best way to address the current issues. So it's very important, and it's also important for those who listen to us to understand that need for, through a network, a common commitment for all people. I will try to reply to your question. When I just mentioned the current context, it is also a time when a growing narrative all over the world, not only in Europe, tries to weaken the principle of the rule of law and pits judges against democracy. And people have to understand that this is quite the contrary. Without judges, there's no rule of law, and without rule of law, there is no democracy. Democracy implies separation of powers, which implies independent courts capable of carrying out a scrutiny of public actions, public decisions. This is somehow quite a check and balances. Democracy is not only the will of the majority, this is also the possibility for everybody to bring his or her case before an independent court, to be sure that the will of the majority will never amount to the oppression of minority. This is why, through the adjudication of concrete cases, through the effective protection of individual rights, judges are working for democracy.
In this context, how would you describe the role of judges in upholding democracy?
This is through the rule of law. This is a concept which is not so easy to understand. Rule of law is more than rule by law, and a distinction has to be made between rule by law and rule of law. European context and history could provide many examples of oppressive regimes who were highly legalistic. It could be a society where law exists and law is applied. But lawfulness is not necessarily fairness. And rule of law is the institutional and material framework capable of combining both lawfulness and fairness. And the role played by the judges is to strike a fair balance between competing interests, competing rights, to land up with an outcome fully well-balanced outcome with full respect for individual rights and public interests. And this is for the judges to make such a fair balance.
Sir, and we can say that this rule of law is directly connected with human rights, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is the substantial dimension of the rule of law. This is a formal and functional system. Check and balances, separation of powers, but with this idea to keep in mind that there are some fundamental rights to be protected, whatever. Why? Because they are the translation of universal values inherent to the human person. I mean, human dignity, right to life, and many civil and political rights, which both are attached to the human person and the crux of the well-functioning of a democratic society. When the European Convention has been drafted 75 years ago in Europe, it was after the Second World War and after the interwar period, with the increasing trend to totalitarianism, fascism, Nazism. And what the founders of the system have experienced is that through the attempt to breach human rights, this is also the legal identity of states. This is also the heart of the democracy, which were under attack. And when they have decided to rebuild at the European level a system based on fundamental rights and liberal democracy, they have designed an institutional organization which is capable of interlinking at the individual level the respect of human rights and at the more general level the well-functioning of the democracy. The full and effective protection of human rights is the prerequisite for a peaceful and fair life within a democratic context.
And what is the role of ECHR in upholding the rule of law?
The rule of law is somehow inherent in all the articles of the European Convention of Human Rights. By providing effective protection to freedom of expression, rights to education, rights for free elections, the Convention is the legal ground for the full compliance with all these prerequisites for a democracy. And this is really important to keep it in mind. But beyond that, through the direct access given to every people, the European Court, which is in charge of the interpretation and implementation of the European Convention, is a court for all. After exhaustion of domestic remedies, everybody can lodge directly before the court a case concerning his or her daily life. Through this right of individual petition, the court gives effective access to justice. And there is no democracy, no rule of law without access to a judge. And this is also by the role the court is playing as in charge of subsidiary supervision at the European level. More than 700 million people under the jurisdiction of the court, more than 1 million cases decided since 1959. That the court is day after day making democracy, the rule of law, and human rights not only words, but first of all, concrete and effective reality.
Why is the independence of judges important regarding the aspects of democracy?
The right to a fair trial implies the possibility to have access to an independent judge, free judge and fair judge. And this is why independence and partiality are so closely intertwined to provide fairness to the people. Free judges and fair judges. And this is the conditions for the well-functioning of the rule of law. And this is very important. In the current context, the courts all over the world are placed under some pressure. The judges are called into question, and maybe we could sometimes, not maybe, and sometimes are under attacks. The only reply to address such a situation is to stand with full independence. This is the only way for the judiciary to stand. But the independence is demanding. It's not just a wish. This is a constant and daily duty to fulfill with. And it requires external scrutiny and internal vigilance. That's why the more we are talking together, the more we are reflecting how to provide guidance to help judges to fully respect these principles, and the most efficient it will be. This is very important for the people to know that for justice to be done and also to be seen as well done, judges are working hard.
Is judicial ethics as important as the other aspects that you brought us?
We talked this morning about Bangalore principle, and this is absolutely vital for the judiciary to stick with these core obligations: independence, impartiality, integrity, propriety, equality. They are all intertwined, and by respecting at the same time all these key principles, judges are capable of making well their job. At the European Court, we pay very much attention to the ethical dimension of our job. There is a charter for ethical issues, and since 2025, an internal body in charge of ethical issues. It shows that the court is able to bring such issues within the jurisdiction. But it is not enough. It's also important to communicate, to reach out to the people, to explain what we are doing. And this is absolutely vital for the public confidence in justice. This is not granted. This is never granted. But I am confident if all the judges in good faith, with personal commitment, because independence, ethics are both individual requirement and institutional obligation. So if we are collectively committed to these so important issues, I'm sure that at the end of the day, we'll manage to embed the people with us in this collective project of peace and justice.
So we can say that this judicial ethics do not impact only the system, but also the society, right?
Yeah. This is absolutely the double effect.
Thank you very much. E esse foi o STJ Entrevista. Muito obrigado pela sua companhia e aproveito para te convidar para conhecer o canal do STJ no YouTube, onde você encontra este e muitos outros conteúdos relevantes. Até a próxima. Tchau!